Well, let's begin. I'm Dawn Matheny with Veriditas, and I'm very pleased to welcome you to Facilitating from the Heart. It's a Veriditas offering as a part of a collaboration of Legacy Labyrinth, Australian Labyrinth Network, and the Labyrinth Society. So here we are, and I'll introduce our panel. We have Nancy Van Fleet, and we have Lars Howlett and Judith Tripp. So they will be leading our session today, and Kathleen Stewart is our tech support for the day. We're going to begin with a meditation and reading from Nancy. So go ahead, Nancy.
Thank you, Dawn, and greetings, friends. We're going to start our time with a loving kindness meditation. And this meditation uses words and images and feelings to evoke a loving kindness toward ourselves and others. And as we recite these phrases, we're expressing an intention, planting the seeds of loving kindness over and over in our hearts. And with the loving heart as the background, all that we attempt, all that we encounter will open and flow more easily. I'm going to invite you to place your hand on your heart, closing your eyes so the eyes of your heart open wide. Let yourself sit in a comfortable fashion. Let your body rest and be relaxed. Let your heart be soft. And let go of any plans or preoccupations. I invite you now to breathe gently and recite inwardly the following phrases directed toward your own well-being. Remembering that we begin with ourselves, because without loving our own self, it's difficult to love others. So I want you to think about yourself and repeat after me. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be at peace. And now let us expand our meditation to include others. And I'm going to invite you to think of someone in your life or people in your life who have loved and truly cared for you. Picture them in your mind's eye as we recite the same phrases. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be at peace. And now let's spend some time wishing well to a wider circle of family, chosen family, and friends. Reciting after me, may you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be at peace. And now we're going to gradually extend our meditation to picture our neighbors, including community members, people everywhere, animals, all beings, and the whole earth. Just pause for a moment as we recite the same phrases. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be at peace. And finally, we're going to include the difficult people in our lives, wishing that they too may be filled with loving kindness and peace as we recite our phrases. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be at peace. And just to be reminded that this meditation can be practiced anywhere. And as you silently practice this meditation, you will come to feel a wonderful connection to the people that you think of. And that's the power of loving kindness. And may this practice calm your mind and keep you connected to your heart. Thank you. And I'm going to pass it on to Lars now.
Well, thank you, Nancy. Very nice to begin with the reflection and grounding like that. I'd like to share just a little overview of World Labyrinth Day for those that maybe are participating for the first time. When you create an event for World Labyrinth Day, you may want to think about what type of event you are facilitating. And these are some of the common frameworks: an open walk, a group walk, a ceremonial or ritual walk, creative expression, a program, or a virtual or multifaceted experience. Generally, an open walk is one that people come and go over the course of the event. So, you know, if you say it's from 12 to 2, someone may arrive at 12:15, and the next group might arrive at 12:45. And as a facilitator, you're kind of speaking to individuals or small groups. And then when people finish their walk, they likely would leave when they are ready. And these are photographs of other walks for World Labyrinth Day you can see around the world, and shows kind of the variety of settings and groups and labyrinths and weather. And all these things will really affect how you facilitate your event. You know, what type of labyrinth, what design, what materials is the labyrinth made of, what's the weather like, and how to try to accommodate, you know, for people in all those different environments. A facilitated group walk may be one where visitors are asked to all arrive at a specific time and are welcomed and oriented together. In this case, you are addressing the whole group at once, and you might have the opportunity to gather them in a circle. And then when you facilitate the walk, they will be walking as a group. And in this situation, usually you invite the group to remain around the labyrinth after the walk so that you can have a closing ritual or poem or ring a bell or something. And then people would leave at the same time. So also when you promote or market, advertise your walk, it's nice to say, you know, if you just give them one time, like World Labyrinth Day event, 2 p.m., then most likely people will show up at 2 p.m. and you can do the group walk. But if you say World Labyrinth Day walk, 11 to 3, then it's more like an open walk. And here's more examples. I'm not sure if these are group walks or open walks, but you can see here the facilitator has everyone gathered around the labyrinth and she's standing in the center. And here you have a very small canvas labyrinth, which would be challenging to facilitate, you know, but you just want to make sure that people have the space to have their experience. indoors, and then here's an outdoor canvas with a group in Poland. You may also want to add other elements to the walk, which could be a slideshow or presentation, a short talk about the history of labyrinths. You could have a table for people to color or write words in a labyrinth. You could teach them how to draw the seed pattern to make a classical labyrinth. They could theoretically make their own handheld labyrinth with yarn or just coloring or clay even to take home. They could collage, mosaic, or make a rubbing of a labyrinth. If you take a handheld labyrinth and put a piece of paper over it and then use a crayon, you can make a quick rubbing of any handheld labyrinth if it has a groove. You may want to show a clip or a movie from YouTube or a DVD, especially if it's maybe a rainy event and you want to have people have a labyrinth experience. Finger labyrinths, of course, are great to offer to people. And then you could also read from a book or a collection of poetry. And here you see some examples of this, people tracing their finger through a printout, learning how to draw, or gathering inside on a rainy day in the UK. You may facilitate a handheld walk online. Veriditas leads a walk, and Lauren will be doing this at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on World Labyrinth Day. And those are just some ideas about the ways and examples just to get you thinking or inspired. So I'll turn it over to Judith now. And I know nobody better than to hold a grounded energy and connect the group to their heart than her. So Judith.
So what I'm going to talk about, though, is really you and how you present yourself, how you center yourself and ground yourself before a walk. So let's just take the example of a walk that Lars was mentioning, where it is a particular time and a particular group of people. And you're going to gather a group that's going to stay around and be with you while you're walking, which is a lovely way to go. And I'm sure the things I'm going to say will apply whether you're doing a facilitated walk like that or a more open-ended one. But I find that centering oneself and really doing whatever we know what to do about being present is really the key to everything we do as facilitators, as friends, as helpers in any way. You know, that this is a way that whatever space we're in, whatever vibration we are living in, whatever mood we carry, whatever confidence, whatever faith that we hold, it shows up in the presence that we project. So this morning when we did this workshop, I was remembering a story, probably one of the first times I ever had a dive in the deep end moment. And I'm sure we've all had those where all of a sudden you think, you know, am I ready to do this? And somebody gives you a shove and then you have to swim. And this experience, I think, was 1980 or 81. And I was a young therapist and just getting myself together with the Association for Transpersonal Psychology. And I was given an opportunity of playing my flute improvisationally to open for Ram Dass. And I held Ram Dass in high esteem. I hope many of you probably know who Ram Dass is, and major big spiritual teacher. And I was terrified. And it really was an experience of like, how do I get myself ready to just simply be, and in my case, in that situation, just play my flute. And I think I used every bit of my, whatever I was learning at the time in terms of meditation and breathing practices and prayer. I did all of those things beforehand. I remember standing backstage and having 10 minutes to myself. And that was a really important piece of being able to take that time, not to think of logistics or what in the world was I going to play, or did my dress look all right, or did, all the things that can go through your mind. It's just like, get rid of all those things and simply be. And that was an experience I'll always remember. And it stood me in good stead for many other experiences where I've been in leadership or I've been performing in some way. So I would say to all of us, whatever works for you to be to be the most grounded, present part of yourself you can, to make sure you leave enough time to do that before you start your walk. Obviously, the easiest thing to do is to have time to walk the labyrinth before anybody else does. So if you can manage that, have some time just to let the labyrinth tell you what it has to tell you right now, to be in relationship and reciprocal relationship with the labyrinth, to even say to the labyrinth, a lot of people are coming, please give them your gifts. Whatever you do to make yourself connected and present with this wonderful tool that we've all had such good experiences with. I think, you already used the analogy of diving in the deep end, but I think if you are swimming around in the deep end and you tell somebody to come in the pool, they're more likely to come in than if you're on the sidelines telling them to jump, right? So if you're in the space yourself, you're connected, you're believing in what it is that you're conveying to people, they're much more likely to feel the transmission of that. And that's part of what our role is, I think, as facilitators of labyrinth walks. So I'd say also, if you're leading a walk like this and you have some helpers or some people that are your people around you, that you could go from your own internal experience to maybe gathering those people on the labyrinth before the other participants come, and have a little prayer, a poem, whatever. Standing in the center of the labyrinth, hands held, is a powerful experience. Also gives you a moment to realize that you're connected to the other labyrinths that are all over the planet. And I think on World Labyrinth Day especially, that's an important piece, because it's not just this one little walk in our corner of the world. It's the fact that this field of labyrinths has been formed over the course of many years, and that there are people from Australia to Hawaii to the West Coast, East Coast, Europe, all the way around to Australia. I mean, imagine the worldwideness of this, and that is a really important piece of it too. One practice I always do whenever I meet a new labyrinth is when I'm in the center, I connect that labyrinth in my imagination to all the other labyrinths on the planet. And it's this lovely connection between us all that I think the labyrinth facilitates and allows us to have. So there are people in the Legacy Labyrinth Project who have particular labyrinths that they tune into. This is all stuff you can explore and imagine, or maybe it's simply the labyrinths that mean something to you. But that idea too of making those levels of connection is really important. And that gives you a chance then, you have your own experience of tuning in and centering, then having whoever's helping you. And if you're on your own, that isn't possible. But if you should have some other people there, that always gives it a sense of a circle already. And have things around you that are also grounding and helpful. If you're indoors and it's possible for candles or flowers, incense or symbols that are meaningful to you, things that actually give you an anchor and a grounding. It's awfully nice to have. You can wear a labyrinth jewelry. You can do things all these things just kind of reinforce presence and take you back to the heart if you should get busy in your mind, which inevitably will happen. So I think the other thing then would be to sort of develop what kind of rituals of acceptance that you want to have that are part of your repertoire. Whether when someone comes on the labyrinth, that there's a gesture of a hand held onto the path, if you're facilitating, standing at the threshold, pacing people. That is a real connection with people, and it also grounds you in relationship with the people that you're talking to. You can, if it feels appropriate in your situation, Namaste has become quite a universal symbol of reverence and acknowledgement of others. If that feels right to you, do that. But develop your own, sense of what gestures really convey the presence that you want to convey. Yeah, and I think along those lines too, if you start doing a lot of these, there'll be some poems or some prayers or some meditations that start to feel like your own. I know my beloved Martin Shaw, who's a storyteller, I encourage you all to take a look at someday. He talks about stories choosing him and him coming into deep relationship with them. And I think it's the same thing with poems and meditations and prayers, that there's some things that just become second nature. And then that conveys something really beautiful. You don't have to read anything. It's just, and it doesn't change all the time. Just something that might be yours. So that's a great thing to do. I mean, you could use the meditation that Nancy did, a form of that. That's a lovely way to begin. And when people begin to come to Labyrinth walks on a regular basis, then there's something that's familiar and they can relate to that too. That also is an anchor. You know, think about the anchors of your presence and these different things that are done, the walking itself, etc. And I haven't even mentioned music yet. So music for me is just an essential piece of Labyrinth walking. And if you're going to be outdoors, you know, having live music is really incredible. If not, there's, you know, there are chimes, there are shanty chimes that are available in Veriditas store, and there are different bells, there are things like that that just bring some sound element into the mix. Again, things that relate to you and speak to your heart. And that is all just kind of a renewal of the heart space all the time. Okay, so if you do have this group, let's just imagine that. I really would recommend having a circle to begin. And just simply standing hand in hand on a circle brings a group together. It creates one of the million circles that's going to change the world. And there could be an intention. That's a good time to read a poem, just to give a little choreography of the event, but to have that beginning that way. And then to remind people that part of the experience, if this is a walk in a certain framework, that watching others walk is one of the most beautiful pieces of this work. You know, that there's a connection as you just simply witness someone else's journey. We don't get very often. I'm really, probably all of us can think of times we have watched someone who's in distress walk a labyrinth and come out the other end, right? Or someone who's utterly joyful. And it's an incredible contagion that happens around feeling and presence, and it creates community in a very beautiful way. I think that, so then if that's the case, at the end of the labyrinth, you can gather people back on the center again. And maybe there's one word each person wants to say, or there's a reiteration of the poem, or maybe there's a sending forth, because we have gathered a lot of energy in a labyrinth walk. And to send that away to where it's needed. I mean, I've done many circles where we all just say the names of all the beloved ones around us. People, one after the other, just speak the names of the people that they know might benefit from the energy that's been generated. You can send also to troubled places on the planet, to Mother Gaia herself. There's a lot that can be done to give back in that situation. And then if there's time and you want to sit down and have a circle, could be on the labyrinth or could be elsewhere, but that's makes it a whole journey and gives people an opportunity to be witnessed again. And that's, I think, one of the strong pieces of the heart is that witness is very important, that being present with others, you know, kind of engendering empathy and love truly is really what it's all about. So I came up with 3 F's for facilitating from the heart. Flexibility, because things always go wrong. Yeah, that's the test of staying in your heart. If some crazy thing happens and you can come back, then that's a really good idea. Faith in the process, faith in our labyrinth, that is such a ground of being for us. Huh? And being in the feeling mode. That's okay. Those are my 3 F's, and my 3 H's are humor, humility, and holiness. All those things should be present too. And I think we all know that humor helps a lot. And humility is just, that's the key to it all for life in general. I think we're all going to grow up here and there. So we might as well be humble to that effect and know that there's something way bigger than us going on here. we join up with it, then we come to the holiness that is potential in everything we do. So I'll get back to you, Lars.
Thank you. God, I love that. The three F's. That's great.
We're about 3 letters in many ways. I thought we might as well do another one.
Right. Well, good. Yeah. And I'll share some examples of things going awry. I facilitated 2 walks in the Lunar New Year, one on the afternoon, the eve of the Lunar New Year, and the other one in the morning at a resort where I had built a labyrinth in Napa, California. And I wanted to invoke a ritual, so I decided that in the afternoon, I would have these stones with words on them, and they would be in the center, and people could choose a stone and reveal a word that could, you know, be their kind of focus or a reflection point for the year. And then the next morning, I was going to have people write on dissolving paper that you put into water and release a word into the labyrinth. So I asked the director of the resort to purchase the stones and the paper, and you know, she had them all available. And so this is the labyrinth that we were walking on, which was just a fantastic Baltic wheel. And it's a processional labyrinth, meaning that it's a one-way journey to the center, and then there's a separate exit, short exit out the other side. So part of the facilitating was also, you know, making people aware of the design, how it works. And then there were 2 spirals in the center. So about an hour before the walk, I asked the director for the stones, and she gave me the bag. And when I looked inside the bag of stones, they were all blank. So I had a Sharpie. And so instead of, I was planning to walk the labyrinth and ground myself in my heart, but I quickly and mindfully wrote words on the stones and created my own reflection stones for people to pick up. But then I had the idea, which is maybe someone doesn't want to draw a word of my creation. Maybe someone wants to write their own word to take with them. So then in the second spiral, I had the blank stones with Sharpies, and I instructed people that they could either take a stone. They were all flipped over, so you couldn't see the words written on them. They could choose a stone at random, or they could write their own. And I think it ended up even being better that way, that people had that choice of in the labyrinth. Here's what it kind of felt like to choose a stone. And the next morning, I welcomed the group. We gathered in a circle. We shared each other's names and an intention, a word of energy or spirit that we wanted to bring to the walk. And when I asked for the paper from the director, she said she left it in her office. So part of being the facilitator is just kind of non-reaction. So just maintaining that calm presence, as Judith said. And then her assistant offered to run back and get the papers. I said, sure, that would be fine. And, you know, every kind of twist brings a new opportunity. So then I thought, well, we could walk the labyrinth twice. We could walk it once to kind of let go and reflect and let go of the year before. And then we can hopefully write on the piece of paper when it arrives, and then walk the labyrinth again, and then write the word of our kind of energy or spirit for the new year. And sure enough, after our first walk completed, the paper had arrived and people were able to write their words and then carry them through the labyrinth a second time. And this is what it looked like to place a word into the ice bucket from my hotel room. But it was very beautiful. No one, I don't think, realized it was my ice bucket, and the words kind of disappeared into a cloud of pulp. And here is how the walk looked. We did have a musician because it was the Lunar New Year. We had Chinese music from the Qigong instructor who also works at the resort. You can see a little stool table where people are writing their intentions and carrying them through and placing them in the spiral in the center. And at the end, the paper turned into this kind of cloud of pulp, and we poured the water into the labyrinth, the collective energy and spirit into the labyrinth as a closing ritual. And people had an opportunity to share anything that they came up for them or their experience of the walk, if they chose to. But to me, building labyrinths, facilitating labyrinths, it's often a labyrinth journey of its own. So, when you're facilitating the event, you have your idea of what might happen, but it's good to ground yourself and set your intention, and then you begin the event. And sometimes when you're facilitating, things turn unexpectedly and you're further away from where you thought you were going, and you have to trust the path, you have to trust yourself. And eventually you come back around and find your way to the center. And if you end up that you stepped over a line and you're back at the start, well, then you just start over again with your group and treat the facilitation as a labyrinth journey of its own. So, and then know that, when things deviate from your expected course, that does provide opportunities that maybe you hadn't thought of when you originally were working up here. And then later we're trying to just follow your heart in the moment. So now I will pass it over to Dawn to open our sharing circles.
Sharing circles, otherwise known as breakout groups. And we'll be putting you in groups of 4. And the question that we're asking is, what do you do to facilitate from the heart? And or what are you planning to do for World Labyrinth Day? So either question to describe, discuss, describe, talk about with your fellow group members. Okay, I think we're all back now. And I'd like to welcome any comments or feedback from your groups.
Hi, everyone. I met with Anna and Rob, and I was so touched to meet with them, and I'd love to keep contact too. I love what Anna's doing in the school. However, one thing she taught me was the heart hug, and it's just touched me so deeply that I'd love to be able to use that. And she mentioned it from Tellington Tea Touch, which I've never heard of, but then she demonstrated it, a circle and a quarter, and it felt fantastic. So I'm going with that for World Labyrinth Day and for the kids in my school. Thanks.
Wonderful. Anna, would you like to share it with the group?
I would be honored to share it with you. What you want to do is picture a clock, and the clock would be like, let me tilt my camera. So where my pendant is would be 9 o'clock. Up here by my neck would be noon, and 3 and 9 would be whichever direction feels comfortable to you. So you put your primary hand, your dominant hand, on your heart. I like to put my secondary hand on top of that, and you move the skin in a circle and a quarter starting at 6 o'clock. I like to do it like clockwise. So 6 o'clock to 9 to noon to 3 to 6 to 9, and then back down to 6. So you're going in a circle and a quarter, starting at the bottom and going around and then back down again. And you're just moving, it's just on the surface of the skin where the nerve endings are. And it's called a heart hug. And if you're interested in learning more about Tellington T-Touch, you can go to the founder's website, ttouch.com. It's a training that started in horses and it progressed to for humans, and I'm certified in companion animals. And so it's just a way of helping us to be centered and to relax and to cope with life's difficulties. So yeah, so you just do around and then back down again. And
Thank you
breathe.
so
And don't forget to breathe when you do it.
quickie version there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Any comments? I'm going to, Charlene.
Yes, one thing we learned in our discussion was that the size of your group doesn't matter. If one person shows up, it's meant to be. And I think it's really important because I recently did a labyrinth with the sound bath, crystal bowl sound bath with a friend. And we went to a lot of work and like 8 people came. And I felt like, oh, I wish there were more, but we know that it's important that however many come, that's what's meant to be. And so that was reaffirming.
Lovely. Thank you. Eileen, we'll go to you, and then we're going to go to Ellen to talk to us about registering your World Labyrinth Day events and resources available to you. But go ahead, Eileen.
I don't know how much time we have, but I'll be brief. I am a newly trained Veriditas facilitator. And I told my little group that I was like, oh my gosh, can I do something by May 6th? I don't know. So when Kathy sent me my certificate, I put it on my Facebook page and I said, I just became a trained facilitator. Save the date, details to come, May 6th. And that's all I said. And I'm getting comments. And I just sent an email to my a director of a labyrinth, like 15 minutes from my house, is asking her, are you doing anything for World Labyrinth Day? I have an idea. So if we can't do it outside, I'm good, but we could move it indoors. I'm gonna do it virtually. I'm just gonna do it virtually, and we'll do it like we did it during training, you know? And I'll send it to the World Labyrinth email we're supposed to send it to, and I'll have practice because the day before is my first evaluated seminar at a retreat. I got invited. So, and I met Linda Torlucas. She's lent me her portable 12 by 12 foot labyrinth. So I'm on fire. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. Great. Wonderful energy. Okay, Ellen, tell us a little about the World Labyrinth Day website and how to register an event.
Sure. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ellen Much. I'm the coordinator for World Labyrinth Day. And a couple of the people from the steering committee are on this. Louise Mason's here from Australia, and Dawn. We have an incredible group, and thank you all for being here. And thank you, Lars and Judith, you and Nancy, you did an awesome job. It was just great. Thank you so much. So there are a couple of things I want to let you know. Please, please, please register your event on the World Labyrinth Day website. Lars is going to pull it up for us. Thank you, Lars. worldlabyrinthday.org is the site. There are so many resources on here for you to use. We are really excited about some of them we've developed this year, which is a flyer in different languages and different formats. If you're in Europe or Australia. We have Chinese, Spanish. There's a template for a flyer for you to create a press release. There is a place for you to submit your event. We have already over 78 events submitted around the world. And it's getting exciting. Many different countries, so many different states in the US. It's not hard to do this. If you can go to that page, oh, yep, thank you, Lars. You can see how many there are already. Also, if you can send me pictures from your event, I would really appreciate it. I put my email address in the website. That's not my Labyrinth Society email, but you can send it to those, to the one I put in the chat. There'll be a place you can submit it on the website too. And finally, don't forget to fill out the participation survey if you can, because that helps us know where you did your event and how many people were involved and that type of thing. Oh, and I forgot about Big Connection 3.0. If you haven't signed up for Big Connection 3.0, please do it. This is a research project between the Legacy Labyrinth Project and Baylor University. And this is our third year of doing it. We've had some great findings. We've had some webinars, if you've been on those, to hear about what we've discovered, what we are discovering, what's developing. And this helps our whole Labyrinth community to have this research. And so if you can do that, you can sign up either on the Legacy Labyrinth Project or worldlabyrinthday.org. So thank you, everybody, for being here and for being part of World Labyrinth Day. It's really going to be fantastic all around the world.
Thank you, Ellen. And because we reached the end of our hour, I'm going to turn it back to Judith to close our gathering. And thank you so much for spending your afternoon or morning or evening with us, depending on your time zone. Judith?
Okay, thanks, Dawn. So I thought we'd just have a little bit of an imaginal connection with each other. So if you could close your eyes for a moment. Breathe deep, and turn on your imagination. And imagine that instead of in the Zoom screen, we are actually standing out in a beautiful spring meadow, green grass, a labyrinth in front of us, standing around. And you can put your hands out and imagine the hands of the other people on this call all together, making one of the circles that goes on forever and ever. And just imagine too, a current running through us all the excitement that you've heard that people are gathering and doing. And just for a moment, just receive that. Receive the fact that you're part of this worldwide Labyrinth project. And all of the good work and prayer and love that's gone into every bit of these gatherings, and the one you're going to do as well or participate in, is coming back to you. And around it goes, around and round, turning and turning, until we are in the world that we long to be in. So a blessing on everyone's events for World Labyrinth Day, whether that's you and your handheld labyrinth at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, or your own experience by yourself or with your group. Please join and be part of this great wave of connection running throughout the whole planet. A blessing on us all.